Policymaking is really about understanding politics, interests, ideas and institutions and how these shape the world that we live in.
It's the glue that holds society together. How do we make collective decisions? How do we decide to educate our children? How do we decide to clean our streets? How do we decide to move our rubbish from one place to another? And how do we manage climate change?
Policymaking is everywhere, really. It's the decisions that not just politicians make, but we as individuals make.
It is essential to the way in which we live in modern societies.
Policymaking, for me, is all about first thinking policy for whom. Whatever decision we're making today, who are we making it for?
The world is full of collective action problems. We need good policy to resolve those collective action problems. Our MSc will enable students to build on those skills to be the better policymakers of the future.
Policymaking is, to my mind, a way, if you go back far enough, it's the way of how we as a community shape ourselves.
Policymaking is designing the approaches, skills, and everyday actions that shape our lives, the way in which we conduct our lives in public. It involves shaping the way in which we experience our lives every day. It has an everyday relevance to people. It shapes our engagement with health, our engagement with education, our engagement with our natural environment. When we get out of our doors and get in our cars, we're engaging with public policy. Public policy is everywhere.
What drew me to the field of public policy was the exciting unpredictability of policy in itself. Not every day is the same in policy, it's constantly changing. It's reactive to certain events in public discourse, and it changes everything about local level decision making to the national level of politics as well.
Our MSc in Public Policy equips students to be good policy makers by looking at policy from a critical lens, looking at the underlying power structures, the ideas and institutions and interests that underpin policy to unveil the sort of black box of policy making, if you like.
I think our MSc equips students very well to engage with all aspects of public policy, and I think the main element that it includes is a kind of global perspective. It recognises that in the modern world you cannot just quarterise problems within a specific region or state, because we live in an interconnected world, and I think our experts, our academics, our researchers understand this and take this interconnected approach to policy, and it plays very well to kind of the complex, wicked problems that we see in modern society around immigration, around climate change, around inequality. All of these issues are in essence manifestations of global problems, and the global approach we take to these at Lancaster, I think, is what makes our approach unique.
We also equip our students with the skills to be a good policy maker by applying these skills through their assessments, through the policy portfolio, for example, where students apply their policy analysis and policy evaluation skills that they will have learnt throughout the modules into a specific policy area.
In this module, and in my module in particular, and the programme in general, we would really be looking at how understanding the policy making processes, understanding how to analyse policy, how to evaluate policy. So all of these skills that the students will be learning will allow them to transfer that into whatever jobs that they go into, whether that's in policy making or in a think tank that's working on policy issues. All these skills, critical thinking skills, analytical skills, communication skills, will enable these students to be able to go into a real world profession of policy making.
We bring different partnerships in terms of policymakers and policy practitioners onto the MSc, and some of this is reflected in our MSc programme. Students can undertake an internship with the Richardson Institute.
One of the networks that I can immediately think of is the Richardson Institute. Through that, I've been able to engage with research, been able to sort of meet other policymakers, gain experience, and sort of understand policy making on not just a national level, on the international level as well, through conflict and peace studies.
We also have a dedicated policy school in partnership with the OIT, and we have a number of practitioners that we work with across our research and teaching, which students will experience on the MSc in public policy.
The Policy School is one of the partner benefits that we offer Lancaster, where we work with them to give them advice and training. There are lots of benefits for students that attend the Policy School. The main one is that it gives you a really good insight into what it's like to be a policymaker, so you can think about whether that's something that you might like to do as a career. But it also helps you understand a bit more about how government works, how policy gets made.
As someone who's taught on policy making MScs for the best part of a decade at several different institutions, I would say that careers are very multifaceted actually. So you might think that it would naturally lead people to go into the civil service or into think tanks or into consultancy. But I've also known people go into NGOs, charities. I've known people become lawyers, go into local government. A lot of people go into private sector in PR, accountancy. It's a very flexible degree.
After my degree, I plan to work in the policy world. My ideas are working in sort of communications, public policy. I've had already experience of working in agency and in-house, and working in sort of the government space as well is something I'm really interested in. Throughout my degree I've covered foreign policy, immigration policy and public policy in itself, so I feel I've got a really good base that I can go off and sort of use my experience in all those different areas.